Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to our Thanksgiving service. I'm Reverend Kathy, and I'm happy to welcome all of you, whoever you are, wherever you are on your spiritual journey. You're welcome here at Unity, and we're glad you're with us today. Unity North is part of a worldwide unity movement. We're the publishers of the Daily Word magazine. We've been holding 130 years of prayer vigil through Silent Unity, the prayer ministry of the Unity movement. So prayer is the heart and soul of unity. And I want to begin with a prayer that Silent Unity sent this week, which I think is fitting. It says it's a prayer for holiday gatherings on Zoom. So let's just take a moment. In gratitude for the divine technology that brings us together across the miles, we open our hearts and eyes in prayer, sending love to every member of this group through the screen, feeling the distance disappear and joining as one. We appreciate our food, our shelter, our lives, and the love we share. Expanding outward, we make room for everyone in our town, our country, and our world within our sacred circle. For blessings sent and received, and for a great service, we say amen. And so it is. All right. Well, I want to say thank you to Chris and Rhonda Italiano. Chris as our IT person who deals with the technology of the service. So we're grateful to him. And Rhonda is our worship assistant today. And I would like to introduce our guest artist. Her songs are pre-recorded for us today. We'll be doing both live and pre-recorded from week to week, depending on the artist. And she's also planning to be here today. I'm not sure if she's here yet. And I'll ask in a minute, but let me just tell you about her first. Carrie Hillary is her name. She's been an international recording artist and has spent her adult life bringing her conscious pop music to every imaginable venue around the world, including over 100 New Thought churches. She is a musical peace ambassador with 8 full production CDs. And I met Carrie when I was serving at Unity Temple of Santa Cruz in the early 2000s. And then it was probably 10, 12 years later, I ended up serving at Unity of South Bay in Torrance, which is down in Southwest LA near Long Beach. And there was a music director already doing the music there. And one of my early days there, I showed up in the morning and there was Carrie. And it was like that many years later. So she's all over California, and beyond, traveling all around different places, different venues. I saw her. Carrie, you're with us, aren't you? Can you wave and say something? There she is. All right. So happy to see you. And she, as I said, she did the recordings for us in advance. And I'm glad you're here. She lives in Boulder Creek, California, near Santa Cruz, and is in the post-fire mudslide zone and has been having trouble connecting. So do you want to say a few words, Carrie? You can unmute. Can you unmute yourself?
Sure. Good morning. It's an honor to work with you again, and it's great to see all your beautiful faces this morning. And I wish Zoom worked a little better for live recordings. It's even a challenge doing it the way we did it, but hopefully the quality will be a little better having done it ahead. So we had a little more control. So good morning, and thank you for inviting me to share with you all this morning.
Thank you, Carrie. So with that, we'll start with her opening song, and this is a sing-along. So when we don't hear each other, but the good news about singing along on Zoom is that you can belt it at the top of your lungs if you want. I let the love wash over me. 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 I let the truth 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 wash over me. I let the grace 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 wash over me. I let the joy 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 wash over me.
Good morning, everyone. I just want to go over a couple of Zoom etiquette things before we get too far into the service. First of all, you were all muted upon entry, and we did that not because we don't want to hear everyone, but because there is a lot of echo and feedback that we get on Zoom when you have too many people on at the same time. So please unmute yourself if you have something that you need to say, but otherwise we do ask that you keep yourself muted throughout the service. The other thing is that as Carrie and Reverend Kathy mentioned, the music today is recorded. So you may notice a difference in volume from one song to the next. Chris did the best he could to even that out a little bit. But if you notice that something is softer, that was just the nature of Zoom. So please be patient with us as we figure out the best way to handle all of that. And finally, this is the time when we greet one another. On Zoom, we can't do the hugs that we are so attached to in Unity, but we can do a wave. So please take a moment to wave to your neighbor this morning. There we go. It's so good to see faces. I'm glad that we can do Zoom. The next thing that we want to take a moment for this morning is prayer requests. So if you have a prayer request, because you're muted, you could say that out loud, or you could simply hold that in your heart. But whatever it is that you would like to share this morning, please just take a moment and pause. See that working out, see that resolving, invite spirit into that idea, into that situation. And we give thanks for the resolution. And the daily word for today, Sunday, November 22nd, 2020, is forgive. In the peace of prayer, I release all unforgiveness. If I hold on to feelings of hurt, betrayal, or anger in response to another person's words or actions, I block the flow of divine love and peace in my life. Likewise, holding on to guilt, shame, or embarrassment that may arise when I have hurt another person also keeps me from experiencing divine love and peace. Forgiveness removes all barriers, all obstacles, anything that may be disrupting my experience of the divine presence. In order to forgive myself or another person, I need not justify or approve behavior that is unwelcome. I need only to become willing to forgive. In the peace of prayer, I release all unforgiveness. I feel the healing power of divine love as it dissolves all barriers, all illusion of separation. I forgive and I am healed. From Matthew 6:12, we read, "And forgive us our debts as we also have forgiven our debtors." The word for today is forgive. And with that, I believe we have some music to prepare for meditation. I invite you now to settle into your chairs. Take a deep breath. And imagine that you are walking outside. It's windy. You can feel the wind and the cold on your cheeks. It's dark. You can feel a heavy darkness around you. You start to shiver in the cold. You can feel the chill in your bones. And then ahead, you see a bonfire. You step up to that fire. You're grateful for the heat. You warm your hands. You pull a chair a comfortable distance from the fire. You're grateful for the light. You're grateful for the warmth. Your feet begin to warm. You begin to think about all of the things you can do around a fire. Roast a marshmallow or a hot dog.
Mhm.
Warm your body. Gather with friends and family. We are grateful for the fire. We give thanks for all it provides. Take a moment to recall that sense of gratitude when you felt your toes warm up. Not only do we need to list all of the things that we are grateful for, but we need to let that sense wash over us. We need to feel it. Feel that heat, feel that light, feel that sense of community as you gather around a fire. And with that gratitude in mind, I invite you to take a deep breath. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Take a couple more breaths as you blink and adjust to the light if you had your eyes closed. Sometimes it's nice to take a stretch and make sure you're back in your body.
I am thankful, grateful for every gift received. Thankful, grateful for every loving deed. I am thankful, grateful through happiness and grief. Thankful, grateful, I trust and let it be. I am I am thankful, grateful for every lesson learned. Thankful, grateful for bridges that
Kathy, you're muted.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you. I love that song. Well, E.B. White said, "Every morning I awaken torn between the desire to save the world and my inclination to save it." To me, this statement captures the essence of giving and receiving. It is the in-breath, breathing in the blessing that we receive, and the out-breath, breathing out the blessing that we are. We are all one, woven together in the great web of life. And when we know that, we are awestruck with an incredible gratitude for the wonder of life. And we are also struck with the pain of the world and a desire to give back out of a deepened compassion. In India, this awakening is called seeing the jeweled net of Indra. This is the net of creation, where in each intersection of the net, there is a reflective jewel of an individual woven together with and reflecting all of the other strands of existence. With our deepening connection to the natural world, we want to retreat into our concerns, but also our bliss and thankfulness. And on the other hand, we want to give back out of our love and our deep concerns to serve the greater good. So today, as we approach the Thanksgiving holiday, we are invited to savor, to appreciate, and give thanks for all that we have. There are a couple of riddles to be answered in connection with this holiday. Why did the police arrest the turkey? Well, they suspected it of foul play. Why did the turkey cross the road? It was the chicken's day off. Okay, one more. Which side of the turkey has the most feathers? The outside. Okay, I can't hear you. You can't hear each other, but I know you'd probably be groaning right now. So I'll stop. I'll spare you anymore. Well, we are celebrating a tradition that did not just begin with the early pilgrims of this country, but has been celebrated throughout history at the time of bountiful harvest. The Greeks had a feast day when they celebrated Demeter, while the Romans honored Ceres, both goddesses of the corn. The Chinese celebrated their harvest festival with a great feast followed by special moon cakes. And they do so to this day. In 1999, I happened to be in China at the time of the Moon Festival and couldn't get enough of those moon cakes. But they're actually not cakes. They're really just this fabulous cookie. For 3,000 years, Jewish families have celebrated the harvest festival, as did the ancient Egyptians in honor of Min, their god of vegetation and fertility. So our country follows an ancient tradition based on the cycles of nature. And the Thanksgiving feast this week is also cosmic. It is a wonderful metaphor for the great wedding banquet of creation to which we are all invited. Theologian Matthew Fox has this wonderful passage about that. He said, "The Creator God is a gracious and abundant and a generous hostess. She has spread out for our delight a banquet that was 20 billion years in the making. And it is a banquet that works, this banquet we call creation, the human planet. It works for our benefit if we behave toward it as reverent guests. God has declared this banquet is very good, and so are we, blessings ourselves, invited to this banquet. So this year, we have been asked to curtail our Thanksgiving gatherings in order to keep the coronavirus from spreading further. So let us think of this year as one when we can deepen our spiritual awareness of this holiday. As we savor this beautiful creation we are part of, we know we are blessed. And as we serve it through loving acts, we know that we are a blessing. And even staying home this year can be a loving act. I think one of the best ways that we can marry these two powerful forces of a wondrous reflective gratitude and also active service is to begin simply by saying thank you. Thank you. The great German mystic Meister Eckhart said, if the only prayer you ever say in your entire life is thank you, it will be enough. Life is a gift and our task is to learn to receive it. And gratitude is life's magnet. It truly is a miraculous force, a living energy, like a magical magnet generating and then attracting so much more than we have already received. Jesus was an amazing example of this. You know, he stood before the people who had gathered to hear him. And they came to hear his words and to have him heal their various afflictions. And as the day wore on, his closest students came to him and reminded him that the day was growing late and that people needed to be sent on their way in order to obtain food. But Jesus replied that the people need not leave, that they, his disciples, should provide the food. Well, you can imagine it must have been with heavy hearts these 12 men gazed out at the vast, hungry sea of faces. And sadly, they told their master there were only 5 loaves and 2 fish, far from enough food for so many. Bring it to me, the teacher told them. And then taking the food, he looked up and he blessed it and he broke it. And then he gave it to the disciples who distributed it among the crowd. Everyone ate and was satisfied, and there were said to be 12 baskets left over. Now, it is told that Jesus was able to provide enough food to feed 5,000 men plus women and children. So that is perhaps 10,000 people. And God's law is the abundance of all good. And it's the universal nature to give. We see proof of this generosity in all of nature. For example, the trees are not clothed scantily. An ear of corn is not barely covered with grain, but covered with an abundance. There are varieties of trees and flowers and animals too numerous to count. And when we visualize a snowfall, we know that no 2 snowflakes are ever alike, which is amazing. This magnificent universe is blessing us all of the time. And in the story of Jesus's great demonstration, we're told he blessed the loaves and he gave thanks in advance. His faith was so great, and his outer vision only perceived 2 fish and 5 loaves, but his inner vision told him that already the demonstration was complete. So we do not know what really happened that day, but we know the story told could be possible. Indian yogis have shown the ability to call something forth, something tangible from the invisible field, and to manifest it instantaneously. In any case, some sort of miracle occurred. And that is the magic of gratitude. When we give thanks in advance, we activate the divine flow, and the universe responds with even greater blessings. The more we give thanks, the more we praise, the universe just keeps on giving because there's great power in praise. Speaking of giving, there's a wonderful story about Mark Twain. He told about a time he was in church and a man came to speak about helping the poor in Africa. And after the first 5 minutes, Twain was so inspired, he determined he was going to give $20 when they passed the basket. And after 10 minutes, he had raised it to $50. And at 20 minutes, it was $100 he was fully prepared to give. He was on fire with passion. And $100 was a lot of money in those days. But then time dragged on and the speaker continued and continued and continued. And Twain said, finally, after an hour and a half, when the basket was passed, I stole $20. Well, the words thanksgiving and praise can be used interchangeably. They mean virtually the same thing: to commend or applaud, to glorify the attributes of God, to express joy and gratitude. In Unity, we teach that we increase whatever we praise or give thanks for. Charles Fillmore, co-founder, said, the whole creation responds to praise and is glad. Animals and children quickly respond to praise. One can praise a weak body into strength, a fearful heart into peace and trust, shattered nerves into poise and power, a failing business into prosperity and success, want and insufficiency into supply and support. Praise or gratitude is one of the most passionate, transformative forces in the cosmos. It comes from love and is the natural expression of a loving heart. It is a most powerful magnet for attracting our good. Everything responds to gratitude, to praise. And we do not praise God for his sake, but for our sake. And when we do, the good just multiplies. You ever praised a child? You know, seeing what a difference that makes? Everybody loves to be praised. One father neglected to praise his children. After a tough day at the office, he came home and he found his two daughters, ages 6 and 7, acting up pretty boisterously. And it lasted all through dinner till he just couldn't stand it. So he gave them a scolding and he sent them to bed. And the next morning, he found a note on his bedroom door. It said, "Be good to your children and they will be good to you. Signed, God." So we are part of an abundant universe. And yet at times we tend to forget that. It's also relatively easy to feel grateful when good things are happening and life is going the way we want it. Even then, we often take things for granted. I was thinking of how it is seeing a full moon when it's just over the horizon. You know, it's gigantic and luminous. And it always takes us by surprise when we see it like that. It's so incredibly gorgeous. And then even a few hours later, when it's higher and we can so quickly lose our capacity for surprise and delight. Beautiful things become commonplace, and we cease to be amazed at the color of the sky, the smell of the earth after rain, the gift of a fine meal, the touch of a friend, or the wonder of another person. We assume that because we've been given these gifts before, we'll be given them again. We tend to lose our wonder and forget to fall to our knees in gratitude, even metaphorically. Sometimes we may tend to focus on what we don't yet have, what we've not yet been given. Why don't we have more money or more respect, more success, a happier childhood to pull from, a more loving family, and on it goes. This year, many of us cannot get together with our families for this special holiday because of the virus. So how do we feel grateful when we are in the midst of a pandemic, when we are in the midst of a health crisis or a financial disaster or the breakup of a relationship? How do we feel grateful when we do not like our living situation or our job? What about when we've lost a loved one? Or when we don't like what's going on in our country or in the world? It is a spiritual law that what we send out returns to us multiplied. Negativity, criticism, worry, and a lack of gratitude block the divine flow and limit our good. But when we send out gratitude, it is a magnet for unimaginable good. We begin simply by praising and saying thank you to ourselves, to our minds, to our bodies. Myrtle Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, regained her health through this method. Told she had a terminal condition, she began blessing and thanking all of the organs and cells of her body, praising the intelligence within them, and encouraged her body to come forth into new life. So try thanking your cells regularly and see how eagerly they respond with increased health and life. There was a woman named Sarah who lay in a hospital bed after an accident. Deeply depressed, she was unable to move any part of her body except the little finger on one hand. And then Sarah decided she would make use of what she did have rather than bemoan what she was missing. So she began to bless that one finger that she could move, and she developed a system of yes and no communication with her finger. And Sarah became grateful she could communicate, so she felt happier. And as she blessed the movement, her flexibility increased. And soon Sarah could move her hand, and then her arm, and eventually her whole body. And it all started with a critical shift from complaining to blessing. We can praise and say thank you to others for all that they do, to our loved ones and to strangers who help us in small ways. And if our loved ones are no longer living on this earth plane, we can still send our thank yous. No one ever passes beyond the power of prayer. Gratitude becomes a way of being when we practice the presence of God, seeing the blessing in all things. There's a wonderful story I may have told before, but it's worth hearing again if you've heard it before. I think it's a special story. A woman with breast cancer once said, "Then there was the day in the cancer center when I sat across from a young man who was about to have blood drawn. He was of an age and thin in a way that suggested he might have AIDS. He sat with his eyes closed. I thought, his veins aren't what they once were, and he's trying to help himself through this moment. I felt a deep connection to this young man, and I wanted to say, I love you. But I couldn't quite do it in that congested space where our knees almost touched and nurses threaded their way through the small openings between patients. So I sat quietly, willing my I love you to reach him. Then my voice began to speak. I really like your colors," I said, "those rich purple pants and your maroon tie-dyed socks that sing with them." A smile stretched his thin lips and brought light to his face. "My socks match my undershirt," he said with a dash of impish pleasure. "I see it peeking out beneath your shirt. It is a perfect match, and how the pants and tie-dye play together." He opened his eyes and took me in. "And I like your turquoise," he said. "Oh, what a color." We were now living in the fragile yet palpable world of our reflected colors. Suddenly I saw freshly the only other visible colors in this white medical room. "You can't see it, but your colors are drawing out their twins in the picture above your head," I told him. his eyes focused above my head. And your turquoise, he said, is an extension of the sea in the picture over you. His procedure ended. Our trance was broken. But I believe we flew together in our momentary world of colors. I felt so grateful that I had gotten hold of the blessing. Well, to cultivate gratitude, we can wake up with a thank you in our heart. We can walk through each day mindful of our blessings. We can make it a point to surprise someone with a simple thank you. We can keep a gratitude book, writing down all of the blessings we're grateful for, even if it's 5 or 10 things a day. Then during the tough times, we can look for the blessing in the experience, and we can give thanks for the good in advance. We are blessed, and we are a blessing. It is the in-breath and the out-breath of life. We savor the world, and we also save it. We can begin simply by feeling grateful and then by saying thank you. So this Thanksgiving, take the time to tell your loved ones why you appreciate them and what you are grateful for. It can be transformational. So to E. Cummings. I thank you, God, for most this amazing day, for the leaping greenly spirits of trees and a blue true dream of sky, and for everything which is natural, which is infinite, which is yes. I who have died am alive again today. And this is the sun's birthday. This is the birthday of life and of love and wings and of the gay, great happening illimitably earth. How should tasting, touching, hearing, seeing, breathing, any, lifted from the know of all nothing, human merely being, doubt, unimaginable you. Now the ears of my ears are awake, and now the eyes of my eyes are opened. Happy Thanksgiving. And I am grateful to each one of you. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope you have a wonderful holiday. God bless you.
No matter what, no matter how, gonna find something to be thankful for and find it right now. No matter when, no matter where, there is a silver lining somewhere up there. So you just gotta look deeper, never give in. Even though some days it looks like you'll never win, trust will grow stronger. Soon you will see, you'll wake up one morning and you finally believe. No matter why, no matter
This is the point in our service when we bless our offering. So if we were meeting in person, this is the point where we would be passing a basket, but we don't have the opportunity to do that. So we ask that you go to the website and give there. Chris has listed a link here, and if you don't have a pencil handy or you just can't write quickly enough, it's all right. This will be on the YouTube version of the service that will be posted soon. So if you would please join me for the blessing of our offering. Please hold this in your hearts. Divine love flowing through me now blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and I am grateful.
This gift is from my heart, the perfect place to start. This I do believe, in giving I receive, in giving we receive. This gift is from my heart, the perfect place to start. This I do believe, in giving I receive, in giving we receive. This gift is from my heart, the perfect place to start. This I do believe, in giving I receive, in giving we receive, in giving I receive, in giving we receive.
All right, well, we have some announcements, but before we get to those, I want to say a big heartfelt thank you to Carrie for her music this morning. I know that Zoom is often challenging, but we are very grateful for the beautiful voice, and it's a silver lining of not being able to gather that we can take part in musicians who do not live close to home. So thank you, Carrie. All right, announcements this morning. We will have some social time after the service. So please make sure that you do hang around so that you have an opportunity to visit with others in our community. We'll do that for about 30 minutes after the service is over. In our youth and family services, the young kids are meeting at 9:30 every Sunday. The YOU meets at 10 a.m. and the Uniteens gather at 11:30 with Unity of Minneapolis. Our Uniteens are also hosting an event that they are calling Standing Out in the Cold. That is happening today from 1 to 3 p.m. at Unity North. They will be at our parking lot gathering winter coats, beef jerky, disinfectant wipes, and cash donations. And all of that will go to support Hope for Youth, which is the homelessness service in Anoka County for our young people. So we hope that you can stop by and be supportive of our Uniteens and of Hope for Youth. Also, we have some more outreach events happening. Outreach will be handing out ornaments for Adopt a Family. Normally those are hanging on the Christmas tree in the sanctuary. So for right now, you can pick those up in a drive-through style, similar to what they've done for Family Table. So you can come to the church, and today from 1 to 3 p.m. and then for the next 2 Sundays, you will be able to pick up an ornament for adoptive families. So we hope that you can join us for that. If you would like more information about holiday services and classes coming up at Unity North, please visit unitynorthmn.org for details and more information. I do want to let you know that Reverend Kathy is having a class called Historical Jesus to Cosmic Christ. That will be the first 3 Wednesdays in December, beginning December 2nd. So that's coming up quickly. We're excited to still be able to have classes. One of our favorite musicians at Unity North, Nicholas Carter, will be having a concert on Saturday, December 5th at 7 p.m. So please mark your calendars for that virtual concert. He plays beautiful, beautiful music. And we have holiday services that will be all virtual this year. So Christmas Eve, the Burning Bowl, the White Stone service, and the 12 Powers, all of those services that mean so much to all of us, we are still doing those virtually this year. And we invite you to stop by the church parking lot on Sunday, November 29th, so next Sunday, and then the following Sunday, December 6th, from 1 to 3 p.m., and you can pick up the materials that you will need to participate in those services. If you do not have transportation or those dates and times don't work for you, please contact the church and we can either schedule another pickup time for you or we can arrange to have those mailed out to you. We want to make sure that everyone can participate in our holiday services. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Reverend Kathy.
And will you please join me now in speaking the prayer for protection together? The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. And the presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And now let's join together in singing our peace song with Carrie.
Peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as our creator, family on a wing. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
That does conclude our official service, but again, we invite you to stay after the service for some social time together.